All right, we're cutting the intro short because we're back. Just another quick update here. I'm not sure it may be the last for the night, although we are a little bit worrisome on this end. Let me show you what I'm talking about, but I definitely want to show you this race here. Uh, we're going to come back to the CD23, but I want to give you an update on the West Verdell race here, real quick. Let me see if I've got him in here. We're doing this on the fly. This is Wesley Verdell versus Hatch Smith, and I'm going to do a refresh right on the fly here just to make sure. But he's at 60.2%. For all practical purpose, Wesley has mopped the floor with Hatch Smith, who, to our disgust, was supported by Texas lawsuit reform, who uh, obviously also is supported by Senator, Pete Rhino Flores. And I'm going to say that all day long because Pete should have gotten behind West Verdell, but he didn't. And at a later podcast, I'm going to show you that tonight and or this last 2 weeks, Pete Flores, when he fundraised for Hatch Smith, was literally really, I think, and I hardly make any mistakes. He's good friends with Dan Patrick, but he went off the reservation because he's more loyal to Greg Abbott, and that's who Greg Abbott wanted. TLR wants Hatch Smith on behalf of Greg Abbott, and I'm sure Dan Patrick's in there somewhere. They were trying to get away with something, but looks like West Verdell is going to clean the clocks out here, but they haven't put the check mark on there. That concerns me. There's a couple of counties that are still out. There's 99% of the vote in, so I'm still not wondering why they're what they're waiting for. For all practical purpose, it looks like Wesley Verdell has won this race. So let me get that one off of there and go back and look for the one that we've been tracking. And I'm going to show you what I'm concerned about here, along with the data gurus and a couple other folks that are tracking this race. And of course, so this is the CD23 race here. And for all of you who are tuning in, Lieutenant Colonel Reyes retired, doing a podcast. We've been here for 2 weeks off and on. And tonight's the big night as we're watching a couple of races. Key to the races that we're looking at is this one right here, CD23. But this is, we were at 45.9 earlier. He's dropped yet again to 45.8. I want you to look at the numbers here. 18,315 to Brandon has met him halfway with his 9,000. But look, if Tony Gonzalez already hated Frank Lopez and Julie Clark, he's got more reason to just absolutely just hate him even more because they have totally affected this race. And I'm sure they wanted to be in Brandon Herrera's position where they've got 9,000 for the runoff, but if the ultimate goal is to get rid of Tony Gonzalez, they've certainly done well here, and of course Victor Alvarado to not be left out. Who's from Dallas, Texas, came down here to run in CD23, has pulled 22. All of them have managed to get it done together, and Tony Gonzalez is sitting at 45.8. I do not see him going back up the other way, but I want you to key in on this number right here. This is the total estimate vote in for the entire district, but I'm going to scoot down here and show you Bexar County here. And what I want you to see here, this is Bexar County here. Let me show you this number. This is what concerns me here. Earlier today, we were sitting at 85%, and I want to take the blue off for those who can't see through the color scheme, but we were at 85, almost pegging 90, and about 25 minutes ago, this number dropped to 70. It's slowly climbing back up to 78.9 or so. The reason I'm concerned with this is typically what most people would deduce or reason is that, okay, we were doing the percentages for the early vote, and I told you that Bexar County got stuck at 80%. It was 7 o'clock, the polls closed. 7:30ish or so, most of the counties start to put out the early vote count because it's already counted, and so they just publicize it to the websites. The AP News picks it up, the New York Times. The El Paso Times, which is what we're looking at here, picks it up and they throw it out there. Bexar County, I could see that was only showing 80% of the early vote count. So you have to ask yourself, why is that the case? And that's a good question to ask Jackie Callahan. So we all assume, okay, well, they're gonna, tally all this. Well, fast forward a couple of hours because it's already going to be 11. We're 10 till here, Central Standard Time, west of San Antonio and Medina County, Texas. This number goes to 85, 86, 87 in Bexar County and almost hits 90, and then it goes back to 70. Now it's gone back up to 78. The assumption here would be a good assumption is that they're now counting the today's vote, the Tuesday vote, because the first percentages you see about how many votes are in are from the early vote. But typically what should happen is you should automatically go to 99.99% early vote counted, because what happens is it's already done with. And so they just throw those numbers. When Bexar County stuck at 80, that send me a little red flag, not accusing or saying anything other than this number now for the count for Tuesday's vote went to almost 90 and it dropped to, and I'm putting my little hand here. You can't see it, but you see that little shaded under Bexar County, those words. It went to 70, and all of us on this end who are watching this data started to not like that. And now it's back up to 78.7. Tony Gonzalez is still at in Bexar County's at 49.5. But overall, if you look at it up here, he dropped the percentage point to 45.8. The rest of the counties outside of Bexar County are dragging him down. So I think if we can proceed with it now, here it is, almost 11 o'clock, and Bexar County can't get its act together to change this shaded area that I'm showing you right here, right above the Tony Gonzalez, the little R candidate wording. We can't get that to 100%. This is going to go into the wee hours, I think. And if we're not careful and we're going to keep watching it, this is where they find enough votes to get the incumbent over the top. And so, again, the numbers, if you look at this 45.8% that we're looking here, makes it very difficult for them to sell you the fact that some of the big precincts came in. You almost have to get, I'm going to say pretty close to 2,500 votes that still would go to Tony Gonzalez for him to be at 50.001%. And that's if all 2,500 votes that came in from Bexar County went directly to Tony Gonzalez. That's kind of what happened with Biden and Trump. Remember, all of a sudden, 40,000, 80,000 votes in Georgia and Michigan came in, and nobody blinked an eye when all 40 and 80,000 votes in different states went all to Biden. And so you almost have to find another 10,000 votes. That's 4 times the 2,500 votes for any of those numbers to literally siphon out 22% to Brandon, 13% to Julie in Bexar County and or overall in the entire district. So the point here is it's almost impossible. But for these folks that willing to steal the elections, nothing is impossible. And yeah, you can put me down as I don't trust Bexar County. I have reason to, and you shouldn't trust Bexar County, Travis County, Harris County. These are all the big city, counties like Denton and Dallas, Fort Worth, Collin County, all these places. So we're keeping an eye on it. But right now, it's looking like 85% to certainty that we're in a runoff between Tony Gonzalez and Brandon Herrera. Now, they're not going to call this till about 2 in the morning. I'm 100% sure, when they've exhausted every means to get this guy across the hurdle. And again, so if you wake up in the morning and it's 50.00001%, and Tony squeaked by 4 votes, you heard it here. They stole it in the middle of the night. Other than that, I think what's going to happen is, and I'm watching to see how many folks are watching this here, but I think what's going to happen is it's going to settle at 45.3.4% before the entire night is over. If it trends like it's supposed, like it's been doing for the last 4 hours, we should see Tony hit 44.4 and maybe Brandon, Julie, and Frank spread the rest of it by another 0.1 or 2%. And we're in a runoff between Gonzalez and the guy that's known as the AK guy, Brandon Herrera. Again, more to come on that. We're tracking that. Um, the other race we're watching, and I'm going to flip it over here real quick, is might have already gone through this, but I'll do it one more time. We'll want to definitely get an update if we can. There it is. Here is Wesley Verdell again, stomping all over Hatch Smith, brought to you by Rhino Pete Flores, our senator here, and the Texas lawsuit reform. They all backed Hatch Smith, never voted in a Republican primary. And and so Wes is mopping the floor with him. I think this is going to settle in, but we still don't have a check mark. Me, I'm telling you right now, looks like Wesley Verdell has won this race, and he's going to Austin to represent us here in Medina County. So we'll see how that flows. Other races that we're looking at here, and I want to go through this. This is going to be, let me see if I can bring this up. And I'm going to go through these. I'm going to unshare this real quick and then share this one here. This is the Texas Tribune's version, but I want to go through these from top to bottom. I'm going to try not to make you dizzy, but these are some of the big races. I'm just going to scoot all the way up. I apologize for that, but I want to capture a couple of these. If we come down here, these are the House district races. So if you wanted to see some of this, I was watching this Dan Crenshaw race between Jamie Ellison and him. Mr. Ellis did a lot better than he did the last time he ran with him. So, but unfortunately, Dan Crenshaw has gotten 58.9%. I consider Dan Crenshaw a Rhino, one of the establishment guys, and so he's beat his opponent on that one. Not looking at any of these. I'm just going to scroll down here as much as fast as I can. Morgan Luttrell was unopposed, so he's won his race. Will take on the Democrat in November. Michael McCall, who's the big, military industry appropriations guy. Been there a while. Again, handedly beat Jared Loveless tonight. August Fluger out of CD11 there. That's Midland, Odessa, San Angelo, all the way up to McCulloch County, which I think is Brady, Texas. That's that second largest congressional district that sits above CD23. He's was unopposed, but he's going to be taken on. Looks like he doesn't have a primary opponent. If you didn't know, Odessa Midland is solid red, so you just have to win your primary race there, and you're going to be the next representative of CD11. So Ronnie Jackson, he's up in CD13. Remember, he's the former medical doctor for Donald J. Trump. He's been running unopposed and since he won his first election. So we like Ronnie Jackson. I think he does the best he can. Sometimes he hangs out with the wrong crowd, but he's really pushing the agenda. So we thank him for being there as well. Manila Cruz, otherwise known as Monica de la Crenshaw, because she's kind of like a Dan Crenshaw, has also handily won against Vangela Churchill down in South Texas. And again, it looks like she's going to be taking Michelle Vallejo. Michelle Vallejo, if you didn't know this, is one of the Justice Democrat candidates. These are the people that brought you AOC and Ilhan Omar. The Justice Democrats put in these really extreme and often female lawyer types, young, that take on the establishment Democrats to beat them and then run against the Republicans. In this case, this district's been Democrat for a long, long time. Monica de la Cruz won when they redistricted it, or redistrict the entire district. And so I'm not sure she's going to survive in November, although she's been hanging in pretty tight. So a lot of work from Monica de la Cruz. Will not take anything away from her. I just think she runs a little bit streak of Rhino and establishment. So Irene Armendariz Jackson over in CD16 has been taking on Veronica Escobar for the last 4 years. Has not been able to beat her, but nobody else wants to run as the Republican. So we thank Irene for being out there as well. Wish her the best in November. Keep moving forward here. Chip Roy ran unopposed, so that's a good news. And of course, we've been watching the Tony Gonzalez, Julie Clark, Frank Lopez, Brandon Herrera, and of course Victor Avila, who from Dallas Fort Worth came all the way down here to run in this district, have it looks like it's now going to be a runoff between Brandon and Gonzalez. More to come on that. Beth Van Doon running unopposed as well. And then, of course, if we keep moving forward here, Michael Cloud looks like he's going to win. He's been declared the winner there. The one that I was looking at is CD28. And this has got Lázaro Garza. He's well off. I want to say a millionaire type down there, using a lot of his money. It looks like they're going to be in a runoff between him and Jay Furman for CD28 to later on take on Henry Cuellar. I'd like to see personally the Lázaro Garza matchup between Lázaro and, of course, Henry Cuellar. Henry Cuellar is hung in by the chinny chin skin of his chin chin, or however you say that. And so we'll see what happens there. Moving on as we're keep moving forward here, just show you John Carter, folks. This is when I was watching as well. Look how many opponents John Carter had here, and the key to this race was this is part of the counties that are part of SD24, which now Pete Flores, the Rhino, represents. But John Carter is like 82 years old, misses 50% of his votes, and so all these folks jumped in because he was going to retire and he changed his mind. So like Dianne Feinstein, he wants to just be in the representative seat, if and when the good Lord decides to call him, because he's not going to stop running. This is a key race I was watching for one reason. Mac Latimer down there, the third one down in that list. He's the former GOP chair for that county. And when I was running for Senate District 24, was trying to convince me that we should legalize hemp at the state level. And so I think that has hurt him, because he really had a good chance to take on John Carter, but he wouldn't disassociate with legalizing marijuana, and that's what you get. And so all the votes got split. Mike Williams actually did pretty good. I know that guy, but none of them seem to be able to beat the 82-year-olds. So hooray for the older crowd. John Carter, I'm not a fan of. Again, he misses most of his votes, but bottom line, he's going to go on and probably clobber the Democrat, because in this district, if you win the Republican nominee for the primary, you're more than likely going to end up being the winner for November. So the rest of them, I don't know about let's see, Myra Flores. This is another one down in South Texas. Remember, her district got gerrymandered. She won before they gerrymandered it, and then held a seat for 4 months, and then lost it when the primaries showed up 2 years ago. So she's won handedly again for the Republican primary, but she's got to take on the giant, Vicente Gonzalez. Not an easy task, even though he's well hated. And but it is Democrat country down in that parts of the of Texas, and so she's got a long way to go. Her other problem too is she's associated with the Libra initiative, which is open borders. So Democrats are just going to keep their Democrat who's open borders anyway, because they don't trust Republicans to do anything down in South Texas either way. So we wish her the best, but I don't see Myra Flores winning in November. We'll see what happens. I hope she proves me wrong. And then, of course, that is the last of it. Wesley Hunt, unopposed in his district, will take on Melissa McDonald in November. So, again, just a few races I wanted to just show. Here's the ones who we're tracking. Looking like Christy Craddock is going to be the railroad commissioner, taking on Catherine Colbert. And these were some of the races that we were pushing here. If you'll look down here, we get a little closer. Some of the judge positions that were out. See if I can get to it. Don Devine is the incumbent. Looks like he's going to win over Brian Walker for Texas Supreme Court Place 4. Some of these folks were on your ballots, depending on where you were, but these were the three we were pushing. David Schenck, we wanted to beat Sharon Keller. She's the incumbent. Right now, it's looking like that's going to happen, to take on Holly Taylor in November. Gina Parker, again, these are all Ken Paxton endorsements. And so the bottom line, it looks like Gina Parker is going to beat Barbara Parker Harvey, the incumbent. And then, of course, we were pushing for Lee Finley over Michelle Slaughter, who was trying to rationalize taking away the ability of Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General. If you leave the name out, she had voted to take the Texas Attorney General's power to go after voter fraud. Imagine that. The biggest law of the land, our attorney general can't prosecute voter fraud. And Michelle Slaughter is at the head of that. And so all three of these folks did that, and they're all being wiped out by the opponents. Thanks to Donald J. Trump, who endorsed all of those folks. And so did Ken Paxton, Sid Miller, Ted Cruz. They all came on board to do that. About the only one that didn't was Greg Abbott. It's the same thing that happened over in the Hatch Smith Wesley Verdell race. And so I'm trying to make a point here. There is this Abbott, Patrick hanging on to, I'm a conservative, with guys like Ken Paxton, who I think now are the leading ear to and comms communication to Donald J. Trump, because I think Dan Patrick is losing his luster as far as who Donald J. Trump is listening to. If you look at all these are all Trump endorsees, and they did well tonight. Okay, that's going to be, I think, the bulk of it right there. I don't think we have anything else we want to show you tonight. Let me look in just to make sure we don't have an update to the CD23 race. Looks like everything is still staying the same. They're sitting, Gonzalez is sitting at 45.8 with everybody else with the rest of the votes. 18,000 votes is what he's pulling off right now. The concern and why we came on here was right now the estimated vote in for the entire district is 79. But if we were to look at Bexar County, and let me see if it's gone up, it's still sitting at 78.9. Here it is going to be 1105. Why they can't get to 100% before 11, actually, I have no idea. Those are the things that concern me, because in the middle of the night, when you all just think, they're in a runoff, they'll find 3,000 votes and make sure that Tony Gonzalez wins by 50.001%. And that's all you need. You just need to be at 50.0 plus anything one, and you are the winner into the November election. So right now, what I'm saying is we're in a runoff. That's what it looks like, unless some shenanigans happens. And so we'll find out at 2, 3 in the morning when somebody wakes me up and says, yep, there's no longer a runoff. So we're wishing everybody good luck here. We're going to sign off for the rest of the night. If anything really seriously happens with this race, we're going to pop back in. But like you, we're going to hear about it in the morning. And so we want to thank all of you for listening and checking us out. We're here, and we're here. I'm looking sideways because I want to see how many people are watching. We got a large crowd on YouTube, Twitter, and of course here on Facebook, soon to be on Rumble and a few other places. We come on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock, and we have fun, and we beat up the left and Democrats and a few Republicans who refuse to do their jobs as real conservative Christian Republicans, because they deserve it. We want truthful representation. We're not getting it. And it looks like today they suffered a big, big, big beating by a lot of primary challengers that are coming in from the right constitutional conservative perspective. And we pray they're going to be God-fearing when they go to Austin or DC. But for now, we've got a lot more to watch, and but we won't be tapping into it until tomorrow morning. We'll let you know what happened. And there's some other places that are actually, projecting races and still talking about it. We put the links to the places we're looking at. So if you just want to click on it and check it out, see what, some of your races that you're tracking, go there. We'll be happy to share that with you all. Leave us some comments, share the post, and we're going to see you either tomorrow or probably the following Tuesday with an update with a whole lot more information about what's happening. So God bless you guys. Have a good night, and we will see you next Tuesday. And good luck to all the candidates for the rest of the night. If you survive past 2 without them stealing your election, you're gonna go to November. So congratulations to those folks, and God bless. Good night.